ways to promote the growth of Tigres in English through analysis, discussions, interviews, and more. Welcome to the Lautimes podcast.
And we're back on the Lautimes podcast. Thank you for joining us tonight. My apologies for the slightly late start. My internet decided to not function for about 20 minutes, half an hour. But we got it fixed, and here we are. We're back. This is the Lautimes podcast, the only podcast on this planet talking about Tigres in English. We are powered by StreamYard, and it's great to have you guys back with us on this Tuesday. I'm Dennis. I'm the producer. I'm the host for tonight, and we've got quite the episode to get you guys going with the week. We're going for this week, so thanks for joining us. If you're joining us live tonight, I'm happy to be joined for the moment from the regular crew by my great friend down in the H, but you know him as the pride of Corpus Christi. It's Mr. AJ himself. How are you?
I'm doing good, brother. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for being here.
The background photo got me kind of hungry. So
Yeah, bro. I haven't had tacos today, and I'm regretting it now. Like, I had good food today, but I didn't have tacos, and I feel like that's a crime considering that it's Tuesday. For now, it's just AJ and us from the regular crew, hoping that Edgar will hopefully join us here in a little bit. Lou, unfortunately, just had to bow out as of like 5 minutes ago. But we have a special treat for you guys to kick off the episode. Before we get to that first, real quick, if you're watching us live, please come hang out in the chat. Please share this link with somebody, retweet, repost, do all the things. If you're listening on podcast later, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave us a comment in Spotify. Leave us a rating and a review and all the good stuff. Well, let's have a good time tonight. We have a very special treat to begin this first part of the episode. Tonight we're going to be talking about this week's games. There's a men's game on Friday. There's a couple women's games. There's some other things that we need to talk about, but we do want to start with a little recap segment over the friendly that happened in Arkansas over the weekend at the University of Arkansas campus. The Golden Clash, if you will, with the matchups against Club America. Threegers in the chat. Thank you for joining us. We have one Edgar here. We need podcast Edgar to come on. But what better way to kind of recap Golden Clash than by bringing in two people who were there at the game on Saturday. And so we're very excited to have not only just two first-time guests, but a father-son duo, which I think is amazing in this scenario. So for the first time, very happy to have our friends Mark and Jacob joining us live here on the show, who were there. Both of these guys were there at the game on Saturday, as I just mentioned, and really excited to get their takes on that. I've met them at least. A couple of the other guys have met Mark and Jacob and family at previous games before. It's nice to reconnect again. Gents, first of all, thank you for joining us tonight. It's great to have you guys with us. I know you guys have been watching us for a while, have been commenting, so it's great to have you all a part of the show this time. So let's just kick it off. Just tell us about y'all's travels. What was it like being there? And let's talk about let's at least talk about the fan fest side of things before we get to the actual game.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having us. So this was essentially our seventh game. One of the ones we had kind of planned on this year. We weren't sure what was happening with CONCACAF. So I know Arkansas was about 7 hours for us. It wasn't too bad of a trip. Headed down that day. We went there. Fan Fest, I just found out maybe an hour beforehand that they were doing something, and we had been to that similarly in Houston. I guess a couple of years ago now, and so it was something we were excited to see. So as we arrived, we just had a little bit of a wait outside the gate, and the Fan Fest maybe wasn't as big as Houston's appeared to be when we were there. It's a lot more compact, but still, El Diablo was there, Rivas was there, and so it was nice to just go through the line, get the pictures with the trophies again, and then go and meet Diablo and Rivas. And Jacob got some signatures on his jersey, and I can let him tell you about that if he wants to. Jacob.
Tell us about it, Jacob. I see it. I see the new additions there. Well, I definitely saw it better earlier, but yeah, tell us. Hold on, let me.
It may be his audio.
I definitely saw it better earlier, but yeah, tell us. Can you hear us now?
My audio is delayed.
It's okay. Just tell us what you can.
My audio is delayed. I have it on my computer, so it's gonna be like a 5-second delay. I have it on my computer, so it's gonna be like a 5-second delay.
Oh, the joys of podcasting live. It's one of those nights, I can tell. Oh, the joys of podcasting live. Now, man, that's so funny. Here, here's what I'm gonna do. Can you add him, or can you tell him to rejoin again?
Yes.
And see how that works. And while you do that, I assume you guys drove. Since
We
you
did.
mentioned it was 7 hours. You guys like long road trips, do y'all? I can tell.
So it's not that we like long road trips necessarily, but you live in the middle of nowhere. You got to travel anywhere nice. So Florida.
Can you tell the listeners? We know where you guys are from, but tell the listeners who may not know where you guys are from where y'all are at.
So we are from Springfield, Illinois, which is the capital of Illinois. It's about 3 hours south of Chicago, about 1.5 hours northeast of St. Louis. It is nothing but cornfields, although Abraham Lincoln is from Springfield, Illinois. So that's all you hear is Lincoln, Lincoln, Lincoln. But, for us, anywhere fun you want to go, unless you're going to fly and we don't have a major airport, you're going to drive. So it wasn't too bad. We went to Cincinnati 2 weeks before. That was 6 hours. This was maybe 7. So it wasn't horrible. Like I said, we've been driving most places to see these games. And it just, you gotta spend the time, go down a little early, and then go to the game. So I don't know. Jacob's back. Can you hear us now, Jacob?
Yep, I can.
All right, tell us those signatures on your jersey.
So we have. I'm trying to think. I have Emma Watson. We're starting off with. I guess I should start off with who we met first. I have El Diablo and Rivas are both up here. I have a photo with them. I'm not sure if my dad posted to Facebook or not.
I saw it at least somewhere.
So there's that. That was exciting because I have here from the way back in Houston. So this is my second Diablo signature, which I have, which is very nice. Both very nice people I've met. It's a little hard because I don't speak like fluent Spanish at least, so it's a little hard communicating, but we get through. I know a few of the words. The red, so I have to stand up here. I believe that is Tatiana Flores, Marcelo's sister, and then Emma Watson, the new addition up here. And then on actually all three of my parents, on both my parents' jerseys and my jersey, we have Chuy Garza, and then I got Fernando Gorriarán to sign my jersey. So,
that's awesome, dude. The captain on there that's nice.
Yeah.
I love it. That's great. We have some questions from the crowd. Drieger saying Simpson Springfield.
No. There is clearly an argument. Everybody wants their Springfield to be Simpson Springfield. I will argue that we have a power plant in our town. It's not nuclear, it's coal, of course. But we also live quite near Shelbyville. Now, I know, I don't remember if it was Springfield, Oregon or Springfield, Massachusetts, that maybe Matt Groening said was the focus for Springfield. But we also have at our local community college, some of the people there were quite close to Matt Groening back when he did, it was the little bunny cartoon before he actually did The Simpsons. So I'm not saying it's not Springfield, Illinois, but it could be.
That's great. I want to ask you a question before I throw it to Lou's question. This will help kind of lead into it. With the Fan Fest that you mentioned, you guys get there, you find out about it right before you get there. And when you get there, what does it look like? Is it all, because obviously America fans are there too, and they have their own thing. Like, were they all in the same general area? Were they on different sides of the stadium? How did that layout sort of happen?
So I would say before we entered at the gates, everybody was grouped together. And the Fan Fest really, now I may be biased, but it appeared that Tigres had a much better organized Fan Fest. Something that was, they had trophies there. They had former players that you might want to meet. Club America didn't seem to have quite the same layout. Now, we didn't hit all of the areas, but from what I saw, Tigres Fan Fest experience was much better. Still, I don't know, 80-20, 70-30. It was heavily dominated with Club America fans. There were far fewer Tigres jerseys in the crowd. So we stuck out maybe a bit more. And then, of course, congregated at our part of the Fan Fest. But I'd still say everybody went into the same area. And then in the stands, I'd say it was quite mixed. I don't think there was any real significant segregation. Now, there may have been behind the Club America bench, but at least behind the Tigres bench where we were, it was pretty well evenly mixed between Tigres and Club America fans.
Cool. I was curious, and I'm glad Lou brought it up. We were talking about it last week there is some Hispanic population in Northwest Arkansas. So I was curious to see like how the balance of that, and then like people traveling like you guys, like how that would all mix in with the stadium. And from what I could tell, at least on the little broadcast that we were able to see via Channel 6 in Mexico on YouTube, I think what you're saying translated on the screen too. Like it didn't feel like there was that big of a advantage either way. Like maybe America fans had more, which isn't surprising because usually that happens when the two teams play in a friendly, but it wasn't like a drastic sort of like, oh, like they're taking over the stadium. Like it wasn't that. And obviously that's a little bit harder to tell sometimes with how closely the colors are for both teams. But I think you're right. It didn't look like it was like even like a 60-40 split. It looked like maybe like a 53-47, a 52-48, if that on the screen, and based on what you're telling me. So I'm glad it was like that, and I'm glad there was a pretty decent crowd. I imagine that the ticket was valid for both games, right? Like you could just walk in whenever. Yep. So
you bought one ticket, good for this both games.
Makes sense.
And I would say it seemed like a lot of people maybe that parked there, a lot of Oklahoma plates, a lot of Kansas plates, definitely a ton of Arkansas plates. We met some people from Oklahoma. The father had brought his family. It was going to be their first professional game. And then we sat behind a number of guys that were from Fort Smith, Arkansas. Grew up there, went to high school there, but definite fans of Liga MX, and that's what they were there to see. So it was a nice group. It was a nice crowd. Culturally, it was a different experience than what we've been to. We've been to CONCACAF games where it's usually a Liga MX team versus MLS. We've been to Leagues Cup where it's Liga MX versus MLS. It was much different experiencing it with both Liga MX teams. It just was different. More honestly, it was a lot more fun. definitely way more catcalling from the crowd we had this past weekend. Now, we didn't have any idea most of the time what was being said, but everybody was laughing, so we were pretty sure it was funny.
That sounds like a great sign for y'all to make the trip to Monterrey one of these days, because that's going to be y'all's experience times like 25 when you go to El Volcán one of these days, which I hope you'll do soon, because that would be great. And that would be like the pinnacle of experiences, more than anything else. I think Jacob froze. Yeah, I figured he froze. I'm gonna take him out again for just a second, and I'll let you answer this. I was gonna have him answer this question first, but oh, there he is. He's back. Can you hear us? Okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, his audio's bad.
The audio's rough. Okay, the audio's rough, but we'll see what we can do.
Try this.
Okay, I'm gonna mute you while you do that. Mark, I'll let you answer this first while Jacob gets reset over there. From Lou, out of all the Tigres games you've been to, which city/venue has been your favorite?
Oh, wow. That is a hard one. I'm going to just focus on the games, because by far, just as a trip, as a vacation, going to San Francisco and seeing the San Jose game was an amazing experience overall. But I really think I enjoyed our experience in Houston. Probably our second game, which would have been, it's not the Astrodome. It's in the football team stadium.
The NRG Stadium, the Miami game.
And as we did not sit as close as we have some of these other games, but the atmosphere seems so much more electric in there. And we just haven't gotten that maybe at some of the Leagues Cup games, or even the CONCACAF. I enjoyed Columbia. I enjoyed Cincinnati. I think those stadiums are very nice, but it just didn't have the energy that Houston seemed to have. And that was something that we just haven't seen most of the time. It was almost like going to a baseball game. We'll go to a Cardinals game, and it's fairly laid back, fairly staid. But when we went to the games in Houston, especially the Inter Miami game, and even to a degree, I think it was Puebla was the first one, it still was a lot more energy. It was much more hyped up, and that actually made it a lot more fun as an experience.
All right, he's back now. Let's try again.
I hope it is all fixed.
Oh, that sounds so much better. That's great. Okay.
Does it?
Yes, it does. Now, tell us your answer to this question, Jacob, of what Lou has presented down at the bottom.
I really enjoyed the whole Houston. I liked San Francisco. If we're focusing on just games, it was either the most recent one in Arkansas or Inter Miami in Houston, though, because they were so energetic, they were kind of unmatched. And I feel even at the mainly at the Arkansas, even though there was less amount of Tigres fans, you could still hear, especially during the men's game. Double L was not fully present at the women's game, but that's something later.
Yeah.
But during the men's game, even though it was a less amount of people, we were definitely seemed to be the louder fan base, and same at the Inter Miami game.
Sure. Oh man, Lou's just got all the questions for y'all. Favorite player, man,
that's so hard. Who does not love Gignac and Guzman? But Gignac's the jersey my son has. Guzman's the jersey we got my wife, mostly because she could only yell Gignac or Guzman, and Gignac was already taken. So Guzman she is. I rotated. Every time I like a favorite player, they leave. Inter Valencia, I loved. He left. I really liked El Diente, and then he left. But right now, while I have a Flores jersey, and he's an awkward player to truly love right now. Brunetta, I think, is who. Every time I've seen him play, and when he makes those amazing kicks from far out, I just can't help but feel so strongly towards him. I hope he bounces back and becomes better and better, because I think we could really use it. Even though we have some new great players that are here, like Correa and I'm just blanking. But yeah, brunette is where I kind of tend anymore. Everybody asks, and I always stumble around that question. I think we lost my son. I'm sure he will probably go with Correa, at least as his current favorite player. But boy, he's always been a Gignac fan.
Haven't we all, right?
Yeah.
It's hard not to pick our number 10 for sure. On the topic of players, and then I'll let AJ ask some questions if he has any. On Saturday, whether it's both games or just the men's or just the women's, was there any player that you were able to watch a little bit more closely this time that kind of stood out to you?
So I'll start with one. This was our first women's game that we've ever attended, and I thoroughly loved it. Honestly, in a comparison of maybe passion, the women's team seems so much more into the game and more passionate about it. And so I know, I was excited to see Emma Watson play, one, because, her name, I don't know how she went through life after Harry Potter came out being named Emma Watson. But the second one would have been, and I hope I don't botch this, but Villalpando. Number 3.
Mia Villalpando.
Okay.
Villalpando.
She's so small compared to the other players. But man, every time she was coming up against somebody, she was right in there, didn't seem to back down, showed no fear. She was just fierce. And so at least in the first half, she was pretty much always right in front of where we were sitting. So it was hard not to essentially watch her play the entire game, or at least that entire first half, and then watch her on the other half. She did extremely well, at least from what we saw. The downside of being at a game is there's so much more that you miss compared to TV. TV's always following the action, whereas we're just following one part. But yeah, I really enjoyed watching her in the women's game. Yeah,
yes.
There we go. Anybody that stood out to you Saturday? Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. Go ahead.
My favorite from Saturday's game or in general?
Both. Lou asked who's your favorite player in general, but tell us anybody that stood out to you on Saturday since you were able to watch them a little bit more closely.
Who was it that scored? Because that was such a... I'm trying to remember. I loved...
In the women's or in the men's?
Gosh.
Man, we're just having the worst luck with them.
We're getting hit by a storm, and my internet, I think at least for me, is going.
I see.
But whoever scored the goal in the women's match, it was very impressive. It was a very impressive goal.
Corginali, Jennifer Corginali.
Yeah, Jennifer.
That was very impressive. Villalpando, I also really liked. Okay. Yeah, my dad kept making they kept making jokes about Villalpando. Oh, I do want to say, the people in front of us knew another dude who was farther up in the stands who had a shirt that was the cutout of Tatiana Flores, and it said Tati, like just the first part of her name, with red hearts. And he got her to sign it.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, but
that's great.
Tatiana did pretty good, I'd say, too. In the men's, that first half, I feel like we started strong and then it slipped once Club America got that goal, and I feel they couldn't fully get back on track. until we got that equalizing goal. And then it kind of started to connect, and then we had more chances building up at the end of the game. But gosh, favorite player in general, I want to say, I mean, Guzman would be one of them. Gignac. Also, I like Vigon. I don't know why. I was going to try
yes.
I was going to try to get his jersey, but an incident happened at the game. Multiple, actually. There was a dude actually from, I do want to mention this, it was a Spanish teacher from Louisville, Kentucky, who his students wrote letters to the team Club America, but they got to sit in the Club America Ultras section, like the Libres y Locos, Club America's version of that. They got to sit there, and like he brought not all his students, I think all of his students, but we met him on the way back at a Buc-ee's.
Ha, that's fun.
But yeah,
where the best meetups happen, at the Beaver.
Yeah.
As we all know.
That was, I think, our first.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, they're not as common for y'all up there as they are obviously down here, so that makes sense. AJ, assuming you're there, I hope you're still there. There you are. What do you have any questions for these guys about their experience on Saturday that maybe we haven't hit on yet?
I was gonna ask about the field. Like, was the field in person as bad as it was on the live stream, or was it just the live stream?
I would say it was. I mean, definitely a football field that they just striped out extra wide. You could see the distinctive, almost border of where the field ends and where the bench would have normally been. So they moved it over or moved it out so that they could make it. I don't even know if it was regulation. We had a couple people in front of us that kept claiming that it was too narrow to be regulation size. I don't know if that's true or not, but the field looked definitely rough. It did not look as nice as I would have thought a NCAA collegiate football field should have been. So I saw that comment, at least on the chat, and I thought, yeah, they pretty much nailed it. It is a bad looking field.
And then I have a second question, because I'm new to you and your son's story. What made y'all become fans?
Oh, shoot. Yeah. So I get asked that at every game. I'll try and make it brief because it seems long and boring. I was watching Premier League, but those games are always in the morning. I needed something at night. So Liga MX was always on, and you can put it on, and even if you're not paying attention, you sure as heck know when somebody scores. So you can turn around, you can watch the replay, and it drew me in. And when you start watching something for long enough, you start to want to root for somebody. You want somebody to be your own team. And I didn't have a good connection to Mexico. I didn't, like Premier League, Serie A, I tried to pick places that my family would have been originally from, but I just didn't have a connection. So both the university related teams sort of started to appeal to me. So it was down to Pumas and Tigres, and Tigres essentially won. But what actually solidified it for me, what really completed the cycle, was it's the fan base. I've not come across a fan base that seems as dedicated and passionate as Tigres fans were. And then going down to Houston and just meeting the people that I'd just been communicating with, it really locked it in. I cannot imagine picking a different team at this point. It sort of seems ludicrous. I'm much happier with the people I've met and the fans that I see at these games. Everybody's welcoming. Nobody's critical. I think I had one experience where somebody kind of questioned are you truly a fan? And clearly I'm not as strong a fan as people that grew up with it. My father wasn't a fan, my grandfather wasn't a fan, but hopefully now that I'm a fan and I've gotten my son to be a fan, maybe we can start sort of our dynastic fandom, and down the road in next generations, we'll at least have a much stronger grasp on the type of fans we've been throughout history. But we're here and we're happy to be here, and we're happy to meet the people we've met along the way.
Summed it up real well. I love y'all's story. Like meeting y'all, what was it, in Houston? I think we
Yes.
met before the Puebla game.
Because we were dying. I mean, we were melting.
Yeah.
And luckily, there was an oasis of shelter in the parking lot across from where we were.
Right.
That
The
saved our lives.
What'd you say, AJ?
The Houston humidity.
Yeah, bro. No
Feels like
joke.
Feels like a sauna every day.
Bro, no joke. It was wild. Yeah, it's so great. Like, and y'all have been so like in like our chats and stuff. Like y'all have been super like lively and always like hanging around and stuff. So this is cool to have y'all on and to have y'all share this out to the masses and share what we've known for a little bit. So we're super glad y'all are part of the fan base, obviously. I can't stress that enough. And hopefully you guys continue to have more experiences like you have up to this point, and that they keep getting better and better. And I'm going to manifest it. Like, you will get the pinnacle of an experience like in Mexico one of these days. You just got to get a passport. You got to get a passport. You got to get a flight,
Exactly.
a direct flight from somewhere in the States to down there. Just come to Dallas or Houston and get a direct flight from either those two places, and you'll be set. Speaking of future experiences, Lou had another question asking y'all if y'all have any future games you plan to attend / any games on your wish list.
So we are, at least at this point, we're planning Leagues Cup. We've always sort of done one CONCACAF game, one Leagues Cup game. So what do we got this year? We've got Salt Lake City and Minneapolis, neither of which is super appealing. It's not like going down to Houston where, we stayed in Galveston and did some beach stuff and then did games, or, going to Florida or even the West Coast. But I think we're going to hit Minneapolis. So I think that was August 7th or August 8th.
Yeah.
So that'll probably be where we'll go next.
Yeah, I will. I'm planning to make that trip too. I haven't fully figured it out yet because there's a big old soccer thing happening here this summer. That's kind of
exactly
the priority right now. But once I get that sorted out, then I'll think about Minneapolis. What is the closest big city, like, realistically, like, to y'all, like, as far as like where a game could happen? Is it a Cincinnati that y'all have already been to, or is there one closer to Cincinnati?
It'd be St. Louis. So now that St. Louis has city, they've got a nice stadium that they just built downtown. It's actually right next to my favorite brewery. So I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for a game to be there. I have people who are staunch city fans. So it'd be great to actually go down, see a game, have more people that I know there, even if they're on the other team's fan base, but at least just enjoy that environment as well. Plus, it's a much shorter trip.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can't imagine that's more than, what, like 3 hours?
It's only an hour.
Hour and a half. Yeah. Hour and a half. Yeah,
exactly.
we can do it easy.
Yeah, that's super easy. I'm really hoping that we get Nashville in CONCACAF here in a few weeks.
Oh,
Yeah.
that'd be nice.
I'm gonna plan for that. I'm trying to just like brainwash people into doing that with me. So this is me doing that to y'all. I don't know how realistic that is, but maybe it is. Who knows?
Already worked.
That would be great. To have us play there, especially with how good Nashville is so far this season. Woodsy's here in the chat, dropping his customary Raimundo Fulgencio mention, as he always does, which is to no surprise if anybody has been around for a while watching the show. Obviously, I would imagine the big wish list would be any game in Mexico, right? Like, I assume you guys don't have a preference of like, oh, we want to go see a Clásico or we want to go see this team. Like, you guys just want to go to a game like in Monterrey.
Yes.
Once, right?
Yes, it preferably before they tear down the stadium. I mean, that'd be amazing to go see. And I need those. What is it? The monkey nuggets. What are
monkey papas.
Yes, that's every time I've ever seen that Pello's YouTube thing and monkey papas comes on, I'm like, I want to try whatever monkey papas are.
They're okay, but you got to get the pork rinds, the chicharrones, the things in the Mendez cup. Yeah, that's what you need. Trust us. Whenever you guys plan that out, just hit us up. We'll get you all the tips, good places to go check out in the city, places to stay. Like, we got you. We got you covered.
That'd be great.
There were a bunch, the people in front of us, it was mostly Tigres fans. Actually, it was a kid and his son. It was a white son, at least. I don't know the dad. They were Tigres fans, and they all were saying we have to go. And it's just they were all saying that we have to go. And then they also some funny banter towards Noel. I don't know if you've seen the clip yet, but they're yelling something at Noel. I didn't understand what, and he turns to the bench and does as he
did a little tear down his face.
That's awesome. Classic Nahuel.
And then him jumping to go whenever the ref made one funny or silly call, him jumping off the bench and going up and jumping towards him, getting in. It made at least me nervous because I was like, I don't want him to get a red. Yes. I mean, I don't fully understand why tensions were running high. It was a friendly. I mean, if you guys saw, there was on the field, a bunch of shoving, actually a beer bottle from what we've heard, not confirming if this is true or not. A beer bottle was thrown at a referee during the men's game, so, near our section. So we actually had, police, which it's sad to see that happen because like that could give a negative rep or connotation to fan bases, whoever it was, which you don't want to see. Yes, it'll happen, but you never really want to see it because it hurts the fan base.
Right. Yeah. I didn't know that. That's unfortunate. But that's also classic Tigres versus America, where the history of the two clubs over the last decade or so, especially in high-profile games, tensions are going to run over. So it makes sense. It's unfortunate. It shouldn't happen, but it makes sense. I was going to say something, and I totally forgot it since when you were mentioning that story. So maybe it wasn't even that important. But, again, like, that's the nature of some of these things. Like, yeah, it's a friendly, but is it really a friendly? Like, at the end of the day, like, is it really a friendly? Not really. So, anywho, you guys have any last words? Any last things you want to say about your experience? Anything in general?
No, I mean, we thoroughly enjoyed it. Look, clearly, if we didn't, we wouldn't be going to games, at least, especially that far away. So, I think we're solidly in. Hopefully, we just keep going more. They're kind of what we've been liking to do so far. So it's been good. I know Leagues Cup gets a bad rap, and I'm not necessarily opposed to the complaints about it, but it at least has brought games closer to us. So we've been appreciative for that, for sure.
Jacob?
I will say, going off the Leagues Cup, after the second leg of Tigres versus Cincinnati, I was looking at posts and people were saying if Leagues Cup was played between both Mexico and in the stadiums of both the Mexican soccer teams and the MLS teams, we would see a very big dominance in Mexico for home for the Liga MX teams, because it's like there's a team we follow in England. They're in the Championship, not Premier League, sadly, called Swansea City. They're in their stadium's nickname is the 12th player. Tigres is the equivalent of, I like to say, Swansea with the stadium at least.
Sure, yeah. I didn't know that about Swansea. I didn't know their stadium was called that. That's interesting. One thing I will say about the game, and you guys obviously saw this because you were there for both. I felt like in both games, the teams missed tons of chances. Like lots of open goals that should have been converted, especially like in the second halves of both games. Like it was unfortunate that the results were a draw for the men and a loss for the women, because it really should have been at least a draw for the women and probably a win for the guys, just because we had a couple clear-cut chances. And again, by players who don't usually play as much, and just not converting off those opportunities. I thought that was the most interesting part of both games, was just the pretty good abundance of opportunities, but not amounting to like much of anything besides one goal each. I assume you'll agree with that based on what you saw live.
Like I said, it's a lot harder to see when you're sitting there. But yeah, the game seemed at times pretty frustrating. Less action than we really thought could have been happening. It was nice to see some of the younger players get cycled in as time went on. Frustrating trying to figure out who some of the reserve players were that they were putting in, but it was nice to see maybe a greater variety of people than we see in normal games. So I really, the only thing I was disappointed in, and maybe I'm just biased from when Rodriguez was filling in for Guzman during Guzman's suspension, but I kind of hoped, was it Carrera, the younger goalie?
Yes,
he was there. I really was hoping that he was going to be in goal, but he wasn't. I really wanted to see what he had, and then of course, Club America puts Tapia in, which is like rubbing salt into your wounds,
right?
Because it was so disappointing when he left. But I really want to see what Carrera can do, just because at some point, Guzman has to go. So who will fill in? Who will be his replacement?
Right.
That's what I was hoping to see.
Yeah. We talked about it last week too when we were previewing this. Is that we were hoping that Carrera was the starting goalie, and especially since Felipe is like, I mean, he's like 39, bro. Like his hamstrings could like go any day now. So like, do you really want to throw him out at a friendly when like we could, God forbid, we need him in the league, but like, what if something happens to no win? If he gets hurt or suspended again, like we're gonna need somebody there, and you want to have, preferably the veteran guy available in that scenario. So I thought it was strange that Guido started him in the men's game. But
who did we get Carrera from? Did he come up through youth academy, or was he a trade?
No, he actually transferred from FC Dallas. He was not a FC Dallas starter. I think he was in the FC Dallas like youth system, or maybe their USL ranks, but he comes from that system, at least from the FC Dallas world. Not like Farfan, who like was an actual FC Dallas player, started a good bit, was on the first team. Carrera was more like a youth player, in some ways. So yeah. Love this comment from Lou. Woodsy, Mark, Jacob, I'm including your mom, your wife in this, and the Lou podcast crew to Monterrey trip. When? Just tell me when, and we're there.
Yeah, that would be good.
I am down anytime. Any excuse to go back home to Monterrey to see the family and watch some Tigres is a good excuse for me. But if we can get new people to experience Monterrey, to experience the stadium, even better. So yeah, we need to make that happen soon. We'll coordinate.
Yeah, that would work.
All that one of these days. maybe sometime next year. Let's get past the World Cup and all the crazy this year. Maybe it'll be a little bit better next year with less spotlight on this side of the world with soccer and maybe some better gas prices. But who am I to say? Who am I to say? So, Mark, Jacob, thank y'all so much for joining us, for sharing your experiences, sharing your story. You guys are welcome anytime you want to come back on the show. Let us know. We appreciate y'all joining us, and we're glad you guys are part of the fandom for sure. So,
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. We'll talk to you guys later. All right.
All right.
See ya.
Thank you. Those are our friends, Mark and Jacob. So kind and gracious to join us tonight here on the show. That was great, wasn't it, AJ? I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Yeah, I love the shout to Houston. What's his favorite experience?
Of course you do. Of course you do.
No, we need to get a game to Dallas.
That's what I'm saying, dog. All we had was that stupid Cruz Azul friendly like 2 years ago that was like low-key.
Wasn't there a game? Was that the game at the Cotton Bowl or?
Yes.
Yeah, that was okay.
And then there was one against FC Dallas when Florida Allen was still here, but that was like almost 4 years ago now, which is crazy. Because that was in the fall of 2022, I believe.
Okay, yeah.
So
yeah, we need to give Dallas some love. Spread the love.
I was hoping we would get Leagues Cup this year, but it's unfortunate that it didn't happen.
I will say this though, like what I think it was a couple of years ago when they had like a Clásico Regio in San Antonio, right? There was
the first or the second one, I think.
Yeah, first of all, the Alamo Dome's a terrible venue for
the
soccer, so
tough.
I understand the reason there, but you got to give Dallas some love.
Yeah,
you have the FC Dallas Stadium. It's not as big as the Alamo Dome, but you can still you can get a huge drawing there. And that would have been way better, in my opinion.
Yeah, even though it's a whip to get up there, because of how far north it is from like most people in the Metroplex. You're right. Like people will still go; they'll make the trip. Because Tigres fans, as we know, our fans travel well, as we always do. So, if I look distracted, by the way, listener viewer, it's because I've got eyes on the FIFA playoff that's happening in Monterrey currently at the Neighbor Stadium, which, by the way, it's packed. Shout out to everybody at the game because that thing looks super packed. I see some yellow jerseys in the crowd, which look like Tigres jerseys to me, unless there's some random Bolivia like second kid or something. So shout out to everybody. I see a couple of Tigres fans there right now. So shout out to everybody at the stadium. That's awesome that they had a good crowd for that. All right, my friend, let's get to the actual business end of this show. Edgar prepared a great outline for us. Again, I was able to add some stuff to it as well. Oh, go for Iraq in the 10th minute of the game. We're going to start with the preview of this Friday's game versus Cholos. International break is coming to a close, and that means Tigres are back in action. An important match awaits with the crew traveling to Tijuana on Friday. What can we expect? How can we get the 3 points? Let's break it down. Friday night, 10 p.m. game. Little PSA, listener. We may not, depending on how we are with everybody's availability. We may have a watch along. We'll see. Stay posted to Twitter about that. We may do a watch along on Friday. We may not. We'll see. I want to, but we'll see what we can do with all that. So let's talk lineup. Got some guys coming back. Romulo's back healthy, back in training. Guignac has also been in training this week as well. I think Farfan might be our only absence. So what kind of lineup do you expect to see thrown out on Friday, knowing that there's a lot of things on the table? We need to get points back in the league, but we also have youth minutes we still need to get. And we also have a big first leg against Seattle coming up a week from tomorrow. So what kind of lineup do you think Guiller rolls with on Friday?
I think you gotta go with the experience here. I mean, we need the points. We're near near out of a spot for making Ligia. So I think these games, you kind of have to go with your strong lineups. Personally, I would put Romulo on the back. Like I said in the last week, playing defense it eases his way into, you know, game minutes because he's just a defender and he's not traveling up and down the field as a CDM. I would give Oziel the start in the left, up top. Personally, I would go Correa up top, have Gignac off the bench, and then start Marcelo on the right.
Okay. I would do Chuy Garza, obviously a right back. I'm with you. I'd put Romulo in at center back. I'm gonna roll with the Lou formation, 4-1-4-1. Give me Romulo and Angulo as the center backs. Loroña keeps his spot, assuming that he's fine. I know he picked up a little knock on Saturday at the friendly, but assuming he's fine, he starts the left back. Give me Araujo in as the one holding mid. I'd like to see. I'm going to differ with you slightly. I don't mind OCL starting. I think I'd rather have Chicha start. Actually, no, Chicha can't play. I'm sorry, because he has a red card. Duh. So you're right. We don't have that option. So Marcelo actually would be a good option. Bruneta, Correa. I like Correa as the 9. He probably will start Aguirre, but I like Correa at the 9. And I guess Correaran in that scenario. So Araujo, Correaran, Bruneta, Correa, and then on the wings, like you mentioned, Ociel and Flores. I would save Lainez for later. Definitely bring him on in the second half, but that would be what I would do. Threeger saying I'd risk it and put the B team because of the CONCACAF series, which I don't disagree with that. Again, it's a big balancing act because you don't have a huge advantage in the league table either at the moment, so you have to just play your cards really smart in this game. I can't remember how Tijuana's doing this season. If I remember off the top of my head, I'm going to look this up, at least where they are on the table. My research on them this week was very minimal, and I probably should have done more. They are currently sitting in 13th place. They've only won 2 games. They've drawn a lot. They've drawn 6 times. And they've been missing Gil Mora, who I don't think will be back for this game, but he is close to returning from his injury. I just don't think that he'll be available on Friday, if I had to guess. So this is a place that has given us some trouble in the past. Last time we were there, we lost 3-0 in a Liguilla setting. The turf is obviously not our friend, but I also think that the boys are going to start locking in. Even though this team has been very Jekyll and Hyde and bipolar and all that, it's time to get down to business and get some points on the board. So I think we'll get the win. I don't think it'll be like a very thrilling game. It'll be stressful as it always is, but I think we'll come out with a 2-1 victory. I just don't trust us to keep clean sheets right now.
Yeah, that was gonna be my prediction, 2-1. If we score first, I like our odds. But if we have to play from behind, I just in that stadium, I don't know.
Yeah.
But with what Threedier said, we're like you said, we're just not at a. If we're like third, fourth in the league table, I'd say all right, roll the B team because you have that that comfortability of being third and fourth. But right now we're literally 6th, and Horealos is on the outside looking in. Juarez, I think, is also on the outside looking in. So there's plenty still to play for in the league.
Right.
I wouldn't put the Easter eggs in one basket with CONCACAF because we can lose that, and then we put everything into that basket, and now we're scrambling to get a spot in the Liguilla.
Right. And Threeker bringing up a good point with the turf.
Yeah.
Their pitch concerns me with injuries.
Yeah, that
Me
was
as
good.
well.
My second point. Turf isn't good on the knees, so this might be a game where they don't put Romulo in because of the injury. But like I said, 2-1 is my prediction. I think we can score 2, and then we'll allow a late set piece goal, and we'd have to fight to the end. But that's my prediction.
Keep the mistakes minimal, score the first goal, and don't get a red card, and I think we'll be fine. I think we'll have a better result than what we did the last time against Juarez. So,
But that's what Cholos is. They're really good at set pieces. They're good at corners. They're good.
Yep, they've hurt us.
Yeah, and that's honestly our kryptonite this year is corners and set pieces. Like it's the Juarez game. It was the free kick goal, and the set pieces. If we can fix that, I like our odds going further. But it's childish errors, honestly, with the set piece goals. It's not like and it's literally a mismark here, a mismark there.
Right.
Obviously, Marcelo's it hitting off of his head, but he didn't have to even move his head. But yeah, it's little things like that. But I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, I think so too. That game will be on TUDN, by the way, for all those who are wondering. Not just on VIX, thankfully. So I can confirm that because I looked at my YouTube TV earlier. Moving on to Las Amazonas, who have 2 games this week, with a game on Thursday away against Cholos. So we'll get them playing there on Thursday night, and then a home game versus our old friend Cristina Ferral and Chivas on Sunday. First, though, let's talk about the game against America, not the friendly, the real league game that happened last week at home, which ended up in a 1-0 loss at home. A very weird, strange game to lose at home against a team that we just beat in the final not too long ago. I caught bits and pieces of it, not the whole game, but especially in the second half, I was really frustrated with just the lack of control and domination that we should have had, especially for needing to get a goal. I don't know, it just felt like we weren't fully in it in that game. And I know that we can do better, but Pedro Losa has not had a great last couple games, I would say.
I agree there. I think if I'm looking at the stats right now, 7 shots total for the game. Dominated possession, but America was comfortable with us dominating possession. We didn't really have a true threat in the final third, and that's frustrating, especially with what the firepower our team has. Like that's like 7 shots total. The whole game is kind of raising question marks for me with what Losa wants to do, what he's doing with the lineup this year.
Yeah, that's something that I know Lou has highlighted a lot. Is just the lack of converting in the final third, of like doing something in the final third. A lot of what happens is just hoping the ball finds Diana's feet and she scores. That's like a lot of our game plan, it feels like. But when she's not getting those chances, I feel like the well dries up really quickly. And I know we've been dealing with some injuries. We have been dealing with some injuries this season, but it's no excuse. Like, this team should be doing a lot better. And to lose a game where you were getting some momentum, you were getting results on the board, and now you have less margin for error as far as like staying in the top 3 because everything is so tight in the table right now. It's frustrating. It's always frustrating to lose at home. I'll give America credit. They are a little bit more organized and better from a system perspective than last year, but that's a game that we should still be winning. And like you said, like we can have all the possession in the world, but if it doesn't amount to anything, then what gives, right? So hopefully the tide turns around this week with these 2 games. I'm curious to see what lineups get thrown out, like what sort of rotation we do. I know a few of the starters stayed back on Saturday, like Diana didn't travel to Arkansas, neither did Maria. Jenny did not travel. I imagine they'll pick back up on Thursday/Sunday. They'll get inserted right back into the starting lineup. I'd like to see Anika to continue to get her starting spot for the midfield to tighten up a little bit. Delgadillo, I know this has been a problem over the last few weeks. Her last few performances have not been very good, so we need to just try to not start her. I feel like right now she's just not in good form, unfortunately. So I would stray against that personally. But these are two games that we have to win in order to not lose even more ground in the standings. Tijuana Femenil is actually sitting in 8th place right now. So they're having a pretty good season by their standards. So we can't just think that it's going to be a walkover by any means. And then obviously that Chivas game on Sunday is really important too, because Chivas have had a really strong season. I know they're in 6th place, but they're only 2 points behind us with a game in hand. Ironically, I think Ferral has actually been a great thing for them with her leadership and her skill set. So those will be 2 tough games for different reasons. One on Thursday because of the pitch and just being away and stuff. 2 on Sunday with facing an old friend and a quality opponent. Do I think we'll get 6 out of 6 points? Yes, he says with a question mark. Under Pedro Losa, you can't be, I guess, super confident, but I'd like to think that we'll be fine. We'll see, though. I think we'll win on Thursday. I think we'll win that game. I am a little concerned about Sunday, though, because, like I said, I think Chivas has had a really good, strong season, and I don't want to lay the X on anybody, but with Ferral, I think that could be possible. So I think we'll win on Thursday, but I would not be surprised in the slightest if we end up drawing on Sunday at home, which would be disappointing, but that's kind of how I feel. What do you think?
Yeah, with Losa this turning, it's unpredictable on what can happen. Because there's some games that we've had this year where we look really, really good, and then the America game last weekend, we didn't look like half the team we truly are. I can see us. I say a win and a draw. That's my prediction for these next 2 games: a win and a draw.
Hopefully 2 wins, but like I said, can't be super confident with how things are in the current state, at least. So, some good news though with the girls. Mari Carmen Reyes is on the verge of a return. She has said that herself, and there's been some verification on that via some people on Twitter. I don't know how soon, but I imagine she's going to make at least an appearance or 2 before Liguilla begins, and that would be such a big boost for this team, especially in the middle of the park. Sabrina Enciso is also back in training to a degree as well. I don't know her status fully, but she is also potentially on the verge of coming back into the fray as well. So keep your eyes peeled on that. I don't know where the game is being broadcasted on Thursday, but I do know that Sunday will be on the usual spots: Estrella and Fox and Telemundo via the Peacock app. Moving on to the back half of our outline. We'll go through these really quickly. Man, I wish everybody was here for my trivia question, but before we get to my trivia question, let's talk about Marcelo Flores, and not because of his Canada appearances, although I don't know how he did tonight. I want to talk about his interviews that he's had recently, where he's talked about how he didn't feel the same love that he felt in Canada, like in Mexico. He felt way more at home and way more comfortable with Canada, with the Canadian national team. But he also said that he's really grateful for Tigres. He feels like Tigres has been really good for him and his career, and they've been the people in the club have been good to him, and he understands that it's a demanding environment. But it's interesting that he's saying that when he's had moments like he did a couple weeks ago against Juarez, where he honestly had a pretty bad cameo, and he's had some moments of brilliance and moments of frustration. So, what do you think about just all the stuff that he said to the Canadian media over the last week or so?
I mean, personally, I don't know. I've always felt like he's been taking the social media thing too far instead of focusing on the footy. I just think, it honestly he didn't need to go out and say all that. Like, oh, I felt more at home with. You've only had one camp with Canada. Like, how many times did he get called up to the senior team for Mexico? This is your first camp with Canada. So I don't know. I didn't really like it. I just felt like he was petty about the situation. Good shouts to the club for taking care of him. The club is supposed to take care of him. But at the end of the day, he has to be the one. He's the one playing, and he has to be the one putting out the effort on the field, in which I think he's up and down. Like, he isn't a consistent player. He's an up and down all year. But hopefully, with him getting what he says with Canada, it changes his outlook for the club.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, we all know this, but he's got talent. Like, let's not get it twisted. Like, he is a talented player. There is clearly something there that Jesse Marsch really likes about him. And he played the whole 90 minutes today in their friendly that they just played earlier tonight against Tunisia. There's clearly something there with him. It's just we haven't seen it fully at our club. And you think with how long he's been with us now, just around 2 years, you would think that he would have a much more certain place in the team. In some ways, that was going to be the case this year, this Clausura season, but obviously we talked about it last week where Guido kind of took him out when he was like getting hot and stuff. So it's just interesting, like the timing of that interview, like both of those like clips, really interesting. I'm glad he said that about the club. I just wish that he had more on his Tigres resume to kind of, go along with what he said. Shout out our friend Tigre Místico saying saludos and good evening from San Nico. My friend, thank you for joining us. Thank you for saying hello. Man, San Nico, I'll be there in about a week or so.
When he was called up to the Mexican team, right? Where was he playing? Was he playing on the left or the right?
I can't remember. I think he got called up once, I think.
But you gotta, like, granted, like it's not a huge. There's not a huge pull from Mexico, right? Like, where you have Alexis Vega on the wing, Piojo Alvarado on the wing, but there's and it's not a knock on him. It's just compared to those, like, it's not like Marcelo Flores has the talent, like you said, he has talent. He's just mildly inconsistent. Like, that's his problem. So that's like, honest. I'm not saying Piojo is like, the greatest winger for Mexico. I'm not saying that he's not, but he was consistent with Chivas a couple of years ago.
There we go. Threeger saying he got called up and never played. Well, that makes sense. That's why I don't remember where he was.
Yeah. So like I said, to me it felt petty. I get it. It just felt petty. Just go out and play. And the whole hair thing too. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Come on, bro. Come on.
Yeah.
Just go out and play. Don't need to dye your hair red for the Canada. Like, come on. Just play. Just play.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And be consistent. Yeah. We saw it at the beginning of the year. The beginning of the year, he looked totally different. Like, way different. Like, he looked confident, and then, the confidence dropped. And then, like I said, he's just focusing on the social media instead of the footy.
Yep. Yeah, and again, he's young, but you see younger guys around the world who are, who are doing good things, right? Like, obviously Marcelo has a lot of his career left, but not to compare him to 16 and 17-year-olds in the Premier League, but I am going to compare him to 16 and 17-year-olds in the Premier League, in a league that he could have played in, right? Like, he's got ex-teammates at Arsenal in Miles Lewis-Skelly and Ethan Nwaneri who have played for the first team. He didn't play for the first team when he was there. You've got another guy at Arsenal, Max Dowman, who had a great moment not too long ago in the league. Liverpool has a kid, Rio Ngamo, who's like 17, right? Like, Marcelo's like 22, 23, right? Like, he's a little bit older, playing in a league that's obviously not on the same level as the Premier League. There needs to be more. If we think he is what he is, or if we think he can be what he can be, we got to see more consistency, like you're saying. I think that's what all the fan base wants. And again, part of it, I think, for this season is because I think Guido kind of pulled him out of the lineup at the wrong time, but also clearly he's not doing enough in training or in games to justify his like re-inclusion into the starting lineup on a consistent or on a consistent basis. So I don't know. I'm with you. It's just very strange. The timing, how he said certain things, just very odd. That whole thing was very odd, but he's probably going to end up playing for Canada this summer. So,
I mean, I hope he does, but you don't have to go and make a big thing about it. I mean, I get it. The World Cup's coming up, but I mean, like I said, it honestly sounded petty, and there's like fans from like different clubs that are like, like saying the same thing, like on Reddit, there's some Canadian fans saying like this is extremely petty. Like, he hasn't proven anything with our team yet, with the Canada national team yet, and he's saying this. So, like I said, I hope he can be consistent. And I hope he does play for Canada in the World Cup and shows us his ability, and then bring it to the club level.
Yep. And I mean, he sounds like a guy, especially with the Diganis comments, sounds like a guy who doesn't want to leave the club. Like, he sounds like he really likes it here. But I have to think that it might be better for him to go somewhere else after this season for his development, because if the consistency's not going to come, it's just hard to be an inconsistent player at Diganis. It really is, especially when you're playing as a winger. If you're not producing enough numbers at a high level, like, the fan base just isn't going to have the patience for it, like kind of how we are right now. So I don't know. It's interesting, but we'll see what happens with him as the season goes on. Quick update on the Guido Pizarro extension. We talked about it a little bit last week. Now there's been some updates on that. It sounds like, well, I've seen two things: that he's now extended through 2027, but also that he's extended through half of 2028. In either case, I'm just glad that the club is putting trust in him, that they're willing to play the long game with him, because as a manager, there is something there with him. You want to back him the best you can, and you have to be willing to play the long game with him, because he is new to this, and he's just only going to get better with time. Like, he's already in a good spot, but he's only going to get better with time. So I'm glad that the club is dishing out a longer deal for him with all that. So there's been some player rumblings here and there too, but nothing official yet besides what we heard from last week. All right, it's time for trivia. AJ, I hope you can answer this. It'll be great if you did. If you're watching live, play along with us too. So last week, on I think Thursday or Friday, at Wembley Stadium, the very rare current Tigres player playing for their national team against England at Wembley happened. El Búfalo Aguirre started for the Uruguayan national team in their friendly against the Three Lions. He played about, I think, 60 minutes. Didn't do too much, but that rarely happens, where a guy from our club is playing in that environment against that team, all that. So my trivia question this week is about that. What other Tigres players who were with the club at the time that they made this appearance have played at Wembley versus England. What other player could have possibly played against England for their national team while they were a Tigres player? Any guesses, AJ?
Is Yignac one?
Gignac is technically the only one.
Okay.
And I'll explain the caveat here in a second. So, Gignac, when he signed with us in 2015, he was still a part of the French national team, as we know. So, yes, Lou, Gignac. So, in November of 2015, England and France played a friendly that England won 2-0. Gignac started that game. This was pre-Euro 2016, which obviously we know Gignac made that roster, played in the final, should have scored the winning goal, hit off the post. We don't have to talk about it anymore. So he is technically the only player who has played in a game as a current Tigres player at the time against England. However, in doing some research over the last day or so, there is technically another player who was playing for Tigres, who was technically a Tigres player at the time when he was at Wembley. And I say technically because in doing my research, I discovered that he signed for Tigres the day before he was at this game with the Mexican national team. So, drum roll, please. Let me pull up the file here. You guys are going to like this. Oh, golazo de Bolivia. Very nice. You guys are going to like this. Jorge Torres Nilo was technically a Tigres player on the day that England beat Mexico 3-0 in a friendly before the first game against South Africa in the 2010 World Cup. The game was played on May 28th. Based on what I saw in my research, he signed for Tigres on May 27th. So at the time, he didn't play in the game. He was just listening on the bench. At the time, he was technically a Tigres player. And that is the only other instance of a Tigres player being at Wembley for our national team in any scenario, England or not. I tried to even look at some other like random games that have happened between now and then of like Argentina versus whoever, or Brazil versus whoever. But those are the only instances that I could find, at least versus England. Technically speaking, you can count, Israel Jimenez, for example, with the Olympic squad back in 2010 as well. But that's different. I'm talking about in just a first team international setting. The only true player who's played for Tigres and who was with his national team at the time was Gignac, but Jorge Torres Nilo also gets a shout out via technicality. So you would have never guessed that, would you?
No. I was thinking like maybe Korea Dan because Uruguay and Argentina, but Torres Nilo, huge shout. One of my favorite defenders ever for the club.
Yeah, man. Same here. What a beast. So there's your Dennis trivia for you for today. Last but not least, we have from the vault, and they are all related to Tijuana. First up, the most recent game, Tigres versus Tijuana in the Liguilla last season, Apertura. We lost 3-0 there. Felt like we were going to get bounced after that first leg, and then we ended up staging an incredible comeback, 5-0 at home to advance on aggregate, our most goals scored against Xolos ever. We talked about that game, obviously, semi-recently, so I don't feel like I have to explain much about that because it's still sort of fresh on our minds. However, the last two times that we played Xolos in 2025, let's talk about both of those games. I want to start with the game that happened in Clausura 2025, towards the back end of the season. if I can find it on FOTMob, that would be great. I don't know why it's not pulling up for me now. No, I have no idea why it's not pulling up for me. That's weird. I'm going to pivot and talk about the game that happened in October. 2-0 Tigres at home against Cholos. A game in which Gignac and Correa scored in this game. Gignac scored in the 61st and Correa scored in the 74th minute off the bench. Can you guess the lineup from this game, AJ? Assuming you're there. There you
Yeah,
go.
I'm here. I think, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't this the game that like Vigon had started in the center defensive role?
Man, yes.
I remember that one. Yeah.
Yep. There's also another non-traditional starter who played this game, played the whole 90 minutes. He is a young lad. Give you that
Chicha.
little hint. Yep, it was Chicha.
That's right.
Chicha played off the right. That is correct. Full lineup was Nahuel, Aquino, Joaquim, Angulo, Chuy Garza, Vigon, Gorri, Bru, Ociel, Chicha, and Andre Pierre. The subs were Correa, who had a goal and an assist, Parra, Gacelo Lopez, and Marcelo Flores. That was back, like I said, in late October.
Was it that game or was it no, I'm thinking of the one in January where we scored 4, right? Like we beat them like 3 or 4-0.
I'm trying to find that game.
Because I know there was one where we like thrashed them at home, like at over there.
Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, 4-0. Yeah, it's in the outline. I thought it was an away match for whatever reason. 4-0 at home to Cholos on January 28th of last year. Very similar lineup. Goal scorers were Brunetta with 2 goals, Vigon with a penalty, and Joaquim with, I believe, a header. Carioca started this game, played pretty much the whole game. Sebastian Cordova started off the left in this game. Subs included Juan Pablo Vigon, Ociel, Parra, the Kraken, Uriel Antuna, and Puratovic. Unused subs include Diego Reyes, the Pizza Man, Tercero, Ordóñez, and Raimundo Fulgencio. Gignac scored a free kick in this game. If you're referring to the game in October, no, it was in the run of play because Correa passed it to him. That's why Correa got that assist. It wasn't a free kick. But good question. The other previous result was, trying to find it. Here it is. The match April 27th of 2024. I don't know why it says, well, there's not one previous to this. Maybe FOTMob just doesn't have it for whatever reason. That's really weird. April 27th of 2024. Tigres 4, Tijuana 1. This is about as far back as I'll go. Oh, man. Can you guess the lineup for this game? Man, this is a doozy. Siboldi was still the coach, if that helps you with anything.
I can't even. Wasn't that the time, like around the time that Nahuel, he was injured, right? Like he had picked up an injury that half of that season.
He was not in this game, correct? Felipe Pau started a goal.
Yeah.
So you got to think about other players who may have played during this game. The back line is crazy.
I already know it's going to be Samir. Was he in there?
Samir, yeah.
Samir. Okay. I'm trying to think who played back there in the back. Is he still with the club?
One of them is. One of them is not. We played a 3-5-2. At least Fatma was saying we played a 3-5-2 in this game.
3-5-2.
I think we played more of a 4-2-3-1 because it's saying that Chuy Garza was a midfielder, but he probably played right back.
So Samir. I'm trying to think. Joaquin wasn't here. Who else was here? Angulo?
Angulo played left back.
Who's on the right?
It was Tercero, bro. Tercero played 72 minutes in this game, and it had a 7.1 rating on FODMAP, which means he was in the green, which is crazy. The full lineup was Gorriarán, Carioca, Bruneta, Flores, Garza, Angulo, Samir, Tercero, Felipao, Diego Lainez, and André Pierre. The goal scorers were André Pierre, Sebastián, Bruneta, and Nico Ibanez at the death goal. Sebastián Cordova came on for 25 minutes. I can't remember if he got hurt or not. Other subs in this game included Puratovic, Juan Luna, Nico Ibanez, and Sebastián Fierro. That tells you how far back in the vault we are. Unused subs include Ortega, who was still the goalie, or one of the goalies at the time, Bisuto, Chicha Sanchez, and an unused substitution appearance by Orey. Luis Q. I don't know why he didn't play this game, but it's probably because we were all pissed off at him. Man, that was ages ago. I do not remember that game at all, in the slightest. And that I'm looking at that Tijuana lineup right now too. That was bad. That's a bad team. The last time we lost against them in the regular season was, according to my research, November 1st of 2023. So right after we won the championship. Oh man.
Yeah, I was gonna say even that lineup's like.
I'm not gonna make you guess. I'm just gonna say it. Gignac, Lainez, Cordova, Luis Q, Fierro, Vigon midfield. Double pivot of Fierro and Vigon. Good lord. Diego Reyes, Angulo, Guido Pizarro, and Aquino. Substitutions included Samir Loroña, Ociel Herrera, Gorriarán, and Nico Ibanez. So, sure, that's what happened. Man, what a time. I don't remember that game at all. But that was also during the C1D era. So, yeah, that's it. That's all of our From the Vault moments for today. Thank you, Edgar, for providing those. Like always, wish you were here. I think that's it. Are we good? We missing anything, AJ, before we get out of here?
Nah, I'm not missing anything.
I agree. Big week coming up. Like we mentioned, we may or may not do a watch along on Friday. Keep up to date on Twitter regarding that. If we do decide to do it, we will say something about it. If we don't, we won't say anything about it. So I'll probably say something about it first. So just keep your eyes peeled for that. We'll see what happens with that later on in the week. If we don't hear or see you guys or talk to you guys on Friday, we'll talk to you guys on Tuesday next week. Hopefully discussing 3 wins between both teams and look ahead to the matchup against Seattle in CONCACAF. Maybe we'll do a collab with some sort of Seattle pod or something. We'll see about that. We'll try to make that happen. TBD. As always, follow us everywhere on the socials. Check out the screen. Check out the show notes. Check out the episode description. Share this episode with somebody. If you're listening on podcasts, don't forget to leave us some comments and some reviews and ratings and stuff. And as always, let us know if you want to be a part of the show in any way, shape, or form. Thank you once again to our friends, Mark and Jacob, for joining us tonight. Thank you, Edgar, for preparing a great outline once again. And thank you to you, AJ, for joining me and not having me be solo man tonight. For AJ, for myself, Dennis, this is the Lautimes podcast. Thank you for joining us. Have a great rest of your week. We'll maybe talk to you guys Friday, but if not, we'll talk to you guys next week. Arriba la U. See you guys later.